What's up guys? On today's episode, how to make your garage walls or your shop walls virtually idiot proof. So some of you guys that subscribe to my channel or maybe watch some of my prior videos might have seen that the bottoms of my walls were never painted. I only actually painted the ceiling. Reason being, I've always had putting this stuff on the walls in mind. So putting paint on the walls was really just a waste of paint. So what is this stuff? It is fiberglass reinforced paneling. You glue it to the wall, put glue on the back of the panel, and then stick the panel to the wall. It's used in a lot of commercial kitchens, public restrooms. Like if you've ever been in a restroom in a fast food restaurant, I can pretty much guarantee some color of this is on the walls in there. The price on it's reasonable, but the nice thing about it is it's completely waterproof. Any grease smudges, I hit it with brake clean. Brake clean didn't affect it. Grease doesn't affect it. Water doesn't affect it. With me washing my vehicles in the other bay and spraying fluid film in here and stuff, I basically just wanted something to help try and protect the drywall, make it so I can just go through and just wipe this stuff down every so often and get the crap off the wall basically. So there's no chance of anything really soaking into the drywall and ruining the drywall with this stuff on. So like I said, you have to glue this stuff to the wall, and I'm no expert on putting this stuff up. I'm sure there's a couple thousand people out there that are much more knowledgeable about this stuff than what I am. My experience with it is only like the 35 sheets that I put up in this garage and the other garage on the other side of the wall. But you basically just trowel on the glue onto the back of the panel and then get a buddy or something, because trying to mangle a 4x8 sheet of this stuff with glue on the back of it by yourself is not fun. And you basically just stick it to the wall. There's different trim pieces that go in between each panel. So there's like a top trim, inside corner, outside corner, and then like a T-trim where the two panels meet one another. So really the hardest part probably about the whole install was manhandling that panel, that 4x8 panel, with glue on the back of it and trying to get it into that T-trim, because the groove in that T-trim is very small, and with the weight of the panel and the awkwardness of the panel, it's just kind of a pain sometimes to get it aligned correctly, but once it's in there, it's not that big of a deal. So as far as installing this stuff does expand and contract with temperature. So your best bet is to try and put it up when it's warm, or if it's not in a heated area. Like this garage, I don't heat all the time. So I put it up in the summertime, being that the panel is already expanded. So when it gets cold out, it's gonna contract. The issue is if you put it up when it's cold and the panel then expands and you don't leave enough gap, you're gonna buckle the panel in the center and you'll have a big hump in the middle of the panel. So that's kind of why I waited so long to put this paneling up. So for those of you that have pole buildings, this is kind of the ideal stuff to put up on the walls, because what you could do is you could put OSB on the walls of your pole building, glue this stuff right to the OSB, and you're done. You don't have to paint anything, you don't have to sand anything, and you don't have to hang any drywall. Because this garage is attached to my living space in my house, I needed a fire barrier according to local code. So I had to put drywall up on the walls before I could put the FRP board on the walls. The other thing is, because I didn't go all the way to the ceiling with the sheets, I had to finish out all the drywall. If I had bought larger sheets, which like I said earlier, weren't locally available, I could have put, like I said, FRP all the way up the wall. But when you do that, you could flip the drywall sheet over backward, screw it to the wall, and you won't have to mud it, you won't have to tape it, you won't have to do anything to it. For those of you that aren't aware, real quick, drywall, the finished side of drywall has like I'm not sure what the technical name for it is, but it has like a lowered section where the seam of the two panels would meet one another, and then you would mud over top that seam to make it nice and flat. Because the drywall sheet on my walls is facing out the correct way, you still have to mud the walls to fill in that dimple. So I had to pay to have the walls finished because I couldn't get sheets that would go all the way up the wall. I looked into buying sheets that were all the way up the wall, and these sheets were $20 a piece for me. A sheet that would have went from the bottom of the drywall to the ceiling was $60. So in my case, wasn't really worth it. The only downside to this stuff, really, as far as I can tell so far, is the cost. It's not cheap. One 4x8 sheet, depending on the thickness that you can get, obviously, you know, a thicker panel is going to cost you more money, but the panels I bought, because they're backed with 5/8 drywall, there was no reason for me to go super thick on the FRP board because it's backed with 5/8 drywall. The rigidity isn't going to change. So I bought the cheapest FRP board that I could find. It was 20 bucks a sheet. That was a bulk price at my local Lowe's. I'm sure there's other places you can get it. You can get it in different colors, but it goes from $20, like I said, on up. I mean, you could spend $100 a panel if you wanted to on this stuff. If you want, you know, a different color, you know, you get into like the tans and the browns and that sort of stuff, the price jumps up big time. It's also available in 4x10 panels, but I got 4x8 because that's the only thing that, you know, my local Lowe's had in stock. So the other cost involved with this stuff is the glue. The glue you could buy by the 3.5 gallon pail. I used a product called Tight Bond Fast Grab. It's FRP adhesive, and honestly the stuff so far has been excellent. It holds well to the wall, it doesn't smell, it's water soluble. So basically you get the panel up, wipe the panel down, and any glue that you get on the panel next to the one you're hanging comes right off. Not a big deal at all. But with that said, 3.5 gallons of that glue is $60. I used close to 12 gallons of glue to do 30 panels, 32 panels. So yeah, like I said, it's not cheap, but then again, it's basically, like I said earlier in the video, idiot proof. You can basically do anything to this stuff and it's not going to be a problem. To give you guys a better idea of what it would cost, I figured out my cost per square foot for the material. Because I put it up myself, there was no labor. And it cost me $1.50 a square foot. That's everything. That's the glue, the trim, the board, everything. So to give you guys an idea what it would cost, that's the best idea I can give you. Locally, this was 20 bucks a sheet. Now that is the bulk price. Because I bought more than 30 sheets, it went from $25 a sheet down to 20. A useful life hack with that is if you, let's say you need 25 sheets to do your project, go ahead and buy 30. Because if you buy 30, you get the bulk price, you get done with the project, you take those 5 sheets that you didn't actually need and return them, you'll get your money back, plus you'll keep the bulk price on the 25 sheets you already have installed. As far as the tools, you can cut this stuff. You can use a circular saw. We used a circular saw with a blade on backward to rip the panels for the narrow sections. We use like an oscillating cutter to cut around the outlet boxes and the switches and stuff like that. That worked out really well, but the stuff's fairly easy to work with once it's, you know, if you have an extra set of hands. Like I said, I'm no expert on putting it up, but you can put this stuff through a fair amount of abuse. So that's about what I have for this video, guys. I know a lot of you guys are putting together shops. A lot of you guys are doing research on stuff you want to do, stuff you want to put in like a lift or compressors and that sort of stuff. So I figured I'd share this with you guys. I like it so far. Time will tell, but we'll see. With that, if you guys like the video, as always, hit like. If you want to see more content, hit subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys.